And the nominees are Braid, Burnout Paradise, Fallout 3, Grand Theft Auto 4, Left 4 Dead, Metal Gear Solid 4, Guns of the Patriots,
Had to pull their goalie an easy
NHL 09,
6 target to shoot at. These guys were in a hole. Now they're in a gorge.
No More Heroes, Resistance 2, The World Ends With You. And the winner is Metal Gear Solid 4, Guns of the Patriots.
So the best game of 2008 is definitely Metal Gear Solid 4, Guns of the Patriots. In every sense, Metal Gear 4 delivers. From a great story to outstanding graphics, incredible sound design, great bosses, everything.
Metal Gear Solid 4 is all about a series of incredible moments.
This is the game that people are going to remember.
It's fantastic.
So we all know 2008 was a great year for games. Some of the best games of all time were released this year, but Metal Gear trumps them, in my opinion, because it finds a perfect harmony between gameplay and storytelling.
A lot of people complain that Metal Gear Solid 4 is just a movie. I watch it as much as I play it, but that's part of what makes it so incredible, is that it takes really two different kinds of entertainment, both of which stand out as the ultimate form of their kind of entertainment, whether you're looking at it as a film or whether you're looking at it as gameplay. But the gameplay is absolutely incredible, and the storytelling is fantastic as well. And the fact that they can be combined into one seamless entity to the point where you're not even sure what kind of entertainment you're participating in, that's something really extraordinary.
Laugh with me!
It's very difficult to summarize a story in a Metal Gear game, but I will say that even if you haven't beaten any of the previous Metal Gear games, you'll be able to follow along with what's happening here. You'll understand that Snake looks different than he did in the previous games. He's aged, there's a big threat, something's going on, and Snake's got to finish it. That's the basic plot. It's the same for every Metal Gear game. He's the hero, he's got to beat the bad guys. But it just seems like Hideo Kojima, from the outset, wanted to make this a final chapter that tied up all the loose ends and really made you nostalgic for those old games, made you appreciate all those old games. There's something to be said for the entire narrative of the Metal Gear series coming to a close. I think there's an element of nostalgia there. We remember the last 10 years or so that we spent with all of these characters and all the great times that we've had with them, but we also realize that the formula of Metal Gear has been perfected in Metal Gear Solid 4.
I think that it all comes down to how well the storytelling has been integrated into the gameplay. They match up so seamlessly that sometimes you're not even sure whether you're in the game yet or whether it's still in the middle of a cutscene. A cutscene will play out. It'll be absolutely beautiful, in terms of technology, as good as any cutscene you've ever seen. And you'll transition directly into gameplay within the cutscene, and it looks exactly the same as the scene itself. And that kind of immersion, you can't really put a price tag on something like that.
Snake, there's no clear.
There's so many great moments in Metal Gear Solid 4, and I don't want to give away too many spoilers, but if you haven't beaten this game, go do it now. We'll talk after you're done. So there's so many great moments in this game, not just moments that are exciting and not just moments that are fun to watch, but there's moments that are really emotionally impactful. And the one that stands out for me was towards the end of the game when everything has gone wrong. Snake is literally crawling on his hands and knees to get to the server room of Outer Haven, and he's being blasted with microwaves. And the screen splits horizontally, and you've got Snake crawling to try to get, has been hit by these microwaves, and you've got cutscenes on top as Raiden is about to die and Meryl's about to die, and literally you are just mashing a button trying to keep Snake going. Everything's going down. You feel like this is the end. You know, this, not only is Snake not going to make it, but everybody else he's ever been associated with is going to die. And it puts you in the position of how Snake probably feels in that moment, because you're getting tired pressing the button, Snake's getting burned alive, and all his friends are going to die. And so when you finally get to the end of that corridor and you make it into the room, there's this tremendous feeling of relief. And it's a fantastic moment. It finds all of these interesting ways to tell this story.
My favorite part is fighting Vamp in split screen, because there's this whole, spoiler warning, there's this whole sequence where Raiden and Vamp are fighting each other on one side of the screen, where you're actually taking part in combat on the other. And the whole thing is incredibly epic. You need to stay alive as long as you need to while their fight takes place. And the whole thing is epic, and to me kind of represents what Metal Gear Solid 4 does best. You have an incredibly cinematic sequence happening on one side of the screen, where you're making your own cinematic sequence on the other side of the screen. Together they come into an experience that I don't think any game has really ever approached. I think the one thing that I like most about Metal Gear Solid 4's gameplay is that in the past, some of the stealth has been really unforgiving. You need to be very careful about how you're sneaking around lest you get caught, because trying to shoot your way out of a situation wasn't always not only is it not the best way to get out of a situation in a lot of Metal Gear games, but it's also the least satisfying way of doing it. Metal Gear Solid 4 kind of took those gameplay mechanics and turned them on their head. You can play Metal Gear Solid 4 as a shooter and get just as much out of it as if you play it as a stealth experience. And more so, if you get caught in stealth, you have a way out of that that doesn't feel awkward. You know, the shooting no longer feels awkward. It feels really good. It feels intuitive. And if you want to go through the whole game playing it as a shooter, you can do that and you can get a great experience out of it. There's just so many different ways of handling every situation. So if you like guns, shoot your way out, it feels fantastic. If you like stealth, it feels as good as it ever has in a Metal Gear game. Put them both together and you have a game where both mechanics feel fantastic without one getting the short end of the stick.
The best part about Metal Gear is it always keeps you guessing.
When all is said and done, when you remember the most incredible moments of 2008, you're going to look back at other games and not even remember anything real specific that happened in that game. Where you'll think, wow, that was a great game, but I can't really tell you off the top of my head what made it so great. With Metal Gear Solid 4, I can start with one sequence, and then I throw in another, and I throw in another, and I throw in another, and I think, this one thing isn't just the most memorable moment of 2008. This whole game was full of 2008's most incredible moments. And I think that's what makes Metal Gear Solid 4 the best game of 2008.
Metal Gear Solid 4, Guns of the Patriots, by far the best game of 2008.
Snake, what happened? Snake?